In the previous podcast, I did talk about a variation of this movement, which they used at the new public school where my wife teaches. And instead of having the slot right here for one AA battery, like you would normally expect maybe kind of on one of these older movements, they've expanded this slot so it actually will hold 3 AA batteries. You can buy a movement like that from Clock It, or you can buy obviously a clock that already has a movement like that, like they did at the public schools. And because the batteries are in parallel to each other, it's not too much voltage for the movement. The movement's going to run just fine with 1 or 2 or all 3 batteries. But if you have all 3 batteries in there, you know, just your good solid alkaline AA batteries, all 3 of them in there, then that clock could run for, say, 5 years without you having to do anything to it. As long as it's receiving WWVB normally, it's going to have good solid reception. It's going to be on the same time all the time. And you know, that's a nice thing to have, a clock that you can hang it up and just don't even have to touch it for 5 years. And you know, so there you go. That's just a little something about the Atomix movement that you can find, again, sometimes in a ready-built clock like this, or in sort of a kit form if you want to build your own clock or convert a clock that you may have purchased with a normal movement. And these are down, well, I hate to, off the top of my head, I think it's like $13 each to get these from Clock It. And if you buy them in bulk, let's say you want to buy 5 of them or 10 of them or 100 of them because you're a hobbyist and you got a lot of clocks, then there are discounts if you buy a lot of them. And also they have different variations in the shaft length. So if you've got a clock that's made of a particularly thick material, piece of wood or some big block of wood, then you can get this shaft just a little bit longer so that it will poke through that, or you can get just the standard shaft. So if it's just a thin piece of plastic like this clock face, it doesn't need to be very thick there, and you know, it all goes together and it's very nice. You can get a variety of hands and just have a lot of fun with that. All right, I'm stalling, waiting for this clock to set itself, and it looks like, oh, okay, it finally did, and it's gonna take long enough to get around to where it's actually synchronized with this clock. I know I have a 10-minute time limit if I want to put this video on YouTube, so we'll just see how much time I have left so you can watch these clocks tick in sync with each other. Apart from that, thanks for joining me. Remember, the Atomic Timekeeping Podcast is at atomicelmer.blogspot.com. That's where you'll find the show notes. And if you want to send me any email, it's atomicelmer@gmail.com. So atomicelmer.blogspot.com, atomicelmer@gmail.com. Let's stay in touch and have fun out there. I'll see you at the end of the month with another edition of the Atomic Timekeeping Podcast. There you go, pretty cool, huh? Nice. No wires.